I did it. Hi guys, I'm back. 2 days off. We just done 30 in a row, and then this guy goes ahead and takes 2 days off. I mean, the nerve, right? The nerve. I'll say this. It's been a good 2 days off not making content either on YouTube or on Twitch, and honestly, compared to before when I've like kind of disappeared or things have gotten, I've gotten stressed out about things, it always felt as a negative taking a day off. I felt like I deserved it this time, because I feel like we've been going through like a good period. There's been a good thing going here with streaming consistency and making videos. I'm really enjoying that. So I really enjoyed just kind of dwelling on that and then appreciating that I kind of felt like I just felt like I needed it, and I felt justified in needing it. So that's that, but now we're back. And we're probably gonna do another 30 days of videos. So there's that. Today's video will be a little different, because I'm gonna do a first look at the updates for the monolith overhaul in last Epoch. They reached out to me being like, yo, have you seen this? I was like, no, I haven't had the time. I was like, oh, we revamped the whole system. So I was like, why not spend a video on that? I haven't really done review stuff or anything. It's not really a review. It's just I'm just gonna read through the changes and give an opinion. And yeah, for those who don't know, Last Epoch is another ARPG inspired by all the most recent ARPGs in terms of how they're creating systems. PoE, Diablo, Diablo 2, Diablo 3, Diablo, all the Diablos. Probably like all like stuff like Titan Quest and all those. I'm sure they have inspirations from a variety. I've talked to them quite a lot in the past, and I've played the game quite a lot in the past, and it's been a good journey, a good evolution so far. They're doing a good job in terms of their endgame systems. I mean, should I have another video preceding this in terms of what's been going on so far? Sure, but we gotta start somewhere. So monolith overhaul, let's talk about it. Let me go and jump to because I haven't read this through, so I'm just gonna read it through with you. If you hate the format, let me know. If you like it, let me know. Let's do this. Right. Wait, I need to just do this. Right, the monolith of fate. So the monolith system is basically their endgame system, where you traverse through the different eras. So it's like a game based on like time periods and such. As much as it's interesting to jump between time, and from a lore perspective, it's probably pretty cool. Granted, I have not been that much into the lore. It hasn't engaged me that much. And that probably saddens some people at their team, but that's just how it is. It hasn't engaged me that much. So the monolith system is basically you jump through different tile sets and all that. You jump through different eras, but I mean, it's just different tile sets with different monsters and different such and such. There's not really any core feature that changes depending on where you go, other than the tile sets, the monsters, and all that. So it's not really a mapping system. It's more akin to the Diablo, what's that system called? The Rift system. But I think it's better. At least it felt more engaging. Where, oh man, I don't even recall now. You would jump through the monolith, and you would have to like unlock different stages by completing different tasks. Let's read this through, and let's go from there. The monolith of fate has been designed with the goal to be one of our key systems you will interact with in last Epoch game. In the last year, we've taken major steps into realizing our vision for the endgame by updating the monolith. We've removed level scaling, created timeline story quests to progress through, added many meaningful, complex boss encounters, and enabled all of this content to be empowered to level 100. Right. So before, there were like all the different places you could go through had different level scaling to them. So you'd like jump from one and it'd go harder and harder and harder. And then you could unlock additional empowered versions of them at the late game. And then you could kind of like redo the content again for even higher bonuses. And you get like keystones you can roll and stuff like that. Like passives you can roll, and you can like re-roll those to like you have like powerful passives that'll drop you better loot depending on how you roll them. It's kind of like the PoE passive tree skill stuff, but simpler. Issues with the old system. Okay, so let's see what the issues actually were. Listening to our player feedback as well as playing with the new models ourselves over the last year, we've uncovered a number of key areas we need to improve. While we enjoy the concept of telling a story in a timeline via quest echoes, they often felt at odds with farming at a timeline for extended periods of time. Right. Because you would farm, that's what I was talking about, right? You would just farm a certain area over and over again to unlock a certain thing. So if you have like a quest there and you're kind of like stuck repeating the same zone for no reason, the quest, like, well, it's like you've done your quest, you should go on, but you're like kind of just, well, I want to farm here. That makes sense. Quest echoes effectively reset your progress through that timeline, encouraging many to skip them in order to keep farming. This farming simply meant building up to increasing rarity modifiers, often at the cost of acuity. Acquiring modifiers that could be frustrating or penalize you. Your build in particular. Right. So whenever you would like go in one of these quests or these things, like you would go through a timeline. Every time you engage with it, you basically choose a set of modifiers, and over time they ramp up. So you'd have to like either reset that ramp to go back to where it's reasonable to run again. Basically resetting your build up rarity that you're aiming for. Like basically it goes for the next 3, so they call it timelines, which is basically like maps or areas you complete. For the next 3 areas, or for the next 8 areas, you'll have these modifiers on there. You'll just have to deal with it, and you kind of build up over time. So you, after like 8 in a row, if they're all like 8 steps, or like for the next 8, right, you'll have 8 different modifiers be at like that you'd have to compete with all the time. You'd get great rarity, like you'd get great loot out of it, but it would be very, very difficult, and sometimes you felt like you had to reset. There was little in the way of target farming. Your echo choices wouldn't really have any tangible impact on your rewards when farming them. Additionally, progression in the timeline could effectively be reduced to a number simply going up. Yes. The only intangible sense of progression otherwise was moving to the next timeline. Yes. Furthermore, our objectives within the echoes as they stand can make a player feel like they are playing on autopilot. Many of the objectives are from the earliest days of last epoch. Go to a specific spot in the zone indicated by your quest arrow and complete the basic task. We also needed stronger midterm progression and goals and rewards, as well as changes to the system to enable us to better support long-term chase as we continue to add content. Cool. Needs for the new monolith. Okay, so what do they need? Better sense of progression. Good. Well, that is a need. More variety and experience from echo to echo. The echoes were kind of boring. Like from echo to echo, they felt very much the same. But that is sort of like what it is to do an echo. Like unless or like to do these like repeatable zones, much like mapping in PoE. If you don't want to encourage certain like specific boss farming for specific unique drops, but you're like, oh, I'm gonna farm this for a while to get that thing, this for a while to get that thing, that for a while to get that thing. Right, because it's like this is very malleable where you set up the zone, but if it doesn't really matter how you set it up, well, then all that malleability doesn't really matter. More midterm goals, more play agency strategy to interact with the monolith. Alright, so here's the system. So this is the new one. Revamp progression. Our new monolith progression system does away with linear binary decision making. Monolith timeline is now ever expanding web of choices, with a visible path demonstrating your journey. Also, you're constantly on a journey where you constantly make decisions through what path you're gonna go through, and like what are the. Oh, so it's like this sounds very much like you know, like I've seen Slay the Spire and these other like roguelike games where you're kind of like constantly deciding on your next choice, and that has very meaningful, impactful decisions on like a short-term scale. But this will probably just be, so it's like sort of like that, so every day feels like there's a new set of scenarios you go through. However, you're constantly on an ever-progressing ever progressing your character at the same time. That sounds really cool. It's very like much like a PoE's synthesis in how it looks, but if you don't have to like go out and find them, and it's just like an ever continuing system, and you kind of like decide on where you go, and the difficulty is like depending on where you go. Maybe it would be nice if you could sometimes see a unique path leading down to something more dangerous, and then maybe you would loop around and come back and go forward again. Like there would be these like unique encounters that could then kind of like go into like a boss encounter that you would see, like an option, maybe like this could lead to a boss encounter or something. That would be cool. Each island on this web is an individual echo with its own modifier and its own specific reward, such as a pile of gold, rares. So I want to, okay, so one thing I am for and against here is this notion of just make the plot about the reward like node, because in PoE very much turned into that in Synthesis, where we ended up with just like you just rush the node and move on because it was the most rewarding thing about it, and all the monsters were like, sure, you'd kill them for XP, but whatever, because the node itself was so rewarding. And it was more about just chasing the next reward node rather than actually engaging and killing monsters. So I would like to like err on the, if any developer would see this, on the side of caution with systems like this, because you might be interfering with the original nature of, or urge to go and kill bosses, to a complete venture into only going for the next loot pile. And there's a distinct difference there in how that feels and how that plays out. Let's see here. The web of echoes will be randomly generated. Instead of relying on a chance to discover quest echoes, your progress towards them is now deterministic. There is a progress bar at the top panel showing which quest echoes have been unlocked or completed, and requirements of the ones that are still locked. Completing any echo progress will progress you towards the next echo. Interesting. I think I would have to like play this, like actually play this to like really understand how this feels. The result of this is that quest echoes no longer reset your progression, meaning you can continue in your timeline. Oh, so whenever you're in one step, in one echo, in one timeline, you could always come back and continue that echo or continue that timeline basically as you created it so far. That's actually really cool, especially if you can get the difficulty up to par with other zones over time. Like, so you can kind of decide what zone you farm in. Obviously, certain zones will be more dangerous than others, but you know, it'd be nice if you had the choice to go back and forth. Let's see here. Echo objective variety to eliminate the feeling of being on autopilot while in a timeline echo. We know we'd have to significantly increase the number of potential objectives you may receive. With this monolith update, we are adding a number of echo types that are more distinct and mix the way you engage with each echo. These will no longer only have an impact on the modifiers, but also encourage you to engage with it as a whole. Right, so more like, oh, you should engage in like this to get an added benefit. Right. I do, one thing I really hope that they're able to do is make sure that the monsters themselves are the dangerous parts, that you feel like you're engaging with the content and you're not engaging with just the modifiers. Because basically all these endgame systems in ARPGs, at a certain point, players endgame feel like they're engaging with the modifiers much less than the actual the actual monsters, the layouts and the bosses. And I think that's problematic as a whole. Like you see this in Diablo 3, you see it in PoE. So yeah, we'll see how that goes. This objective provides different ways to interact with the map. You'd still be able to be directed to your objective of killing the rares. They are now a moving target. It is often a good strategy to try and intercept where they will patrol rather than simply chasing your quest marker. This results in dynamic encounters. Okay, that's cool. That's cool. Just, you know, again, it's about finding the right balance of scaling up the actual monster and the interesting parts of overcoming how to deal with a certain monster and not just overcoming the mods that you put on the monster. I think that's where it gets really difficult, right? It's like, because you would like to fight the boss, but if the boss is a complete pushover with the right mods and impossible with the wrong mods, yes, that can be good, but also it's like, I feel like at a certain point, a certain type of monster should always be a challenge, never a pushover. Right, so there's a level of balance where you would go on like a boss rushes and you would basically, even with the easiest mods, you would still feel like you were challenged because you are now encountering the highest tier of content. And I think it's important to always kind of have the player feeling like they're engaging with high tiers of content at a certain level where it never gets just a pushover. The area has particularly unique experience for our, okay, so arena, arena echoes. Right, so maybe they incorporate, so they have something called arena where you just basically go in and you fight waves and waves and waves and waves and you get to the highest number. The arena has particular unique experience for our endgame. And we decided to incorporate short bursts of this experience into the monolith via arena echoes. These echoes are not as frequent as normal ones, they're 25 as common. They will involve 12 to 18 waves, which can alter the chance at which you... which can really alter the cadence at which you choose to engage with the timeline. Cool. We've not fully added new echo objectives, but also new echo types allow you to meaningfully interact with your timeline. Okay. Normally when you complete an echo, you can see 2 steps ahead, the echo adjacent to the completed one and the one directly beyond those. Beacon echoes will allow you to see further. Oh, so you could go for beacons to check out, okay, what's the... so far I'm liking a lot what I'm seeing here. There's just like a mini game that's being played, you know? Like where you're like discovering what journey you're on and then there's the actual playing of the game. I like that. Normally, when you complete an echo, you can return to it and have it move to your next choice. Vessel of Memory echoes change this. The objective of these echoes is to smash the Vessel of Memory, destroying it. It'll reset the state of all existing echoes on your web, with the exception of the Vessel echoes. To rerun them and claim the rewards again. Oh. I have to try this as well. Vessel of Chaos echoes. I mean, there's probably, so they're basically alluding to like a full like metagame of how do you play the echo system, the timeline system in itself to gain better rewards. So it's like a little game of chess where you decide the route and all that. Vessel of Chaos, Vessel of Memory are not the only vessel types or type of vessel. You spend time completing echoes and claiming the rewards in the timeline. There will never be a large number of echoes that you have not chosen not to complete. You have done this because the reward was irrelevant to you or the echo was not enticing. This is where the Vessel of Chaos becomes exciting. An exciting prospect. Vessel of Chaos are rare. One rerolls the rewards of all the echoes that you have not completed, providing a chance of... Oh, cool. A little reroll there. Yeah. Reworked. Echo objectives. In addition to introducing new objectives, spires and forges, a couple of reworks, right? So these were things you just had to like kill. The spires and the forges, like they would like spawn monsters and you just kill them. The 3 old spire types that simply dealt damage have been replaced by 10 new types of spires that are more dangerous, different effects. Releasing a nova, slowing pool, or poisoning. I have to say though, these spires were very uninspired. I'm much more of a fan of like monsters, or at least have the spires mean something. The spires, the sense of just killing a spire is like wholly uninteresting. So yeah, I don't know. We'll see. if there's like if you would like kill a certain subset of spires or something and they don't have like an effect going forward, that would be cool. But the spires is like a objective goal or like a thing you need to rush to kill. It's just I felt it weird. I'll say that. I wasn't that big of a fan of it. But I mean, it's just like an objective. It's just like a point you go to, you smash it, and you collect reward basically. Corruption is a new mechanic. Okay, corruption is a new mechanic that'll affect the difficulty of a timeline similar to empowerment. The more corruption in a timeline is, the more health enemies have. Oh, so you corrupt them over time? Okay. In a non-corrupted timeline, corruption will also increase zone level and significantly raising the difficulties since empowered timelines are already level 100. Corruption instead will so all the empowered timelines are 100. So like you can make any of them empowered, so they're all on the same level basically. Instead, since will increase the rarity of rewards. Okay, so there is to this. It seems like there's like a push towards people hitting level 100, so then unlocking these like endgame zones. So there's like a level cap you're encouraged to reach, kind of, you know, because everyone wants to get to the empowered point, and then you have everything empowered, and then you kind of like run around and you corrupt. That's kind of cool. Also worrying, because like what happens after a level cap? Is it just gear? If the level is required, then once that level is gone, then you have to have constant gearing and shift the focus there and make that interesting. Yeah. There's definitely a sense of loss at the moment you hit 100 in like any of these games. Like in PoE and Diablo and all of them. And sometimes items are not enough. Start at 100 corruption, literally providing the same effect as current empowered. Wait. Empowered timelines now start at 100 corruption, initially providing the same effect as the current empowered modifier. 50% more monster health, increased rarity. However, this can be increased, indefinitely providing harder and harder challenges. Right. Current version of the monolith of faith, there is a choice between pushing as far as you can from a loot and negative modifiers and restarting your run. The result of this is that farming a timeline meant actively ignoring just quest echoes or constantly resetting your runs to no meaningful reward. Right. With regular echo selection and discovery being decoupled from quest echoes, we now need a new way for players to reset their timeline progress and build up corruption. We can, why not do that with the most epic boss fight we've ever made? Cool. To expand your monolith of web, you'll encounter shade echoes. These echoes will trigger an encounter with Shade of Orobyss. The Shade is a randomized boss with 30 unique skills and over 4,000 possible permutations. I don't like it when people try and sell me on this, like there's over 4,000 different permutations if, you know, the permutations aren't meaningful in themselves. We saw this in like Diablo. Like this is a very it's like this as a selling point. It's like this gives me nothing as a selling point. I'm just gonna say that. I know it sounds cool to say, but it's like, unless I see it, I won't believe it. I remember like, oh, Diablo 2 gave you such and such and such, and it's like, oh, you can have so many different build options. Like, no, you didn't. Obviously, this is a boss design. You don't have the choice of what it picks, so just picks at random, so there will be changes. But, you know, they need to... I don't know. We'll see how that goes. I mean, it's definitely a good idea for replayability, but whether or not something that random will actually create a good gameplay experience we'll see. Could be. Definitely not impossible. Well, we'll see. Shades are just a one-way ticket to a permanent higher corruption and therefore higher difficulty through. Killing a shade always changes the corruption of a timeline, but once your corruption is above a threshold, encountering and defeating close to the center of your web will instead reduce corruption, giving you an opportunity to make your timeline more manageable. Oh. Okay, cool. Towards an agency, all these changes result in a number of improvements to the monolith of faith to enable players to focus on reward-driven decision making, have increased agency as well as interact with the system in a more strategic manner. I like that a lot. Rather than a decision, or rather than a choice between two echoes at the same time, players may now choose their route through a timeline for any number of reasons, such as progressing quickly through quest echoes, targeting expected rewards, avoiding mods they find frustrating, or maintaining a large increase to item rarity and experience gained. Right. Closing statement. We hope all of these changes will have a huge impact on how players feel like they can engage with our in-game system by increasing the amount of choice, reward, and challenge. We want players to be invested in their decisions as they expand their monolith and uncover errors, secrets lost in time. And more importantly, we feel like this system allows us to increase flexibility to add all kinds of exciting content in the future. There's definitely a lot of, there's definitely a lot of options for adding more to a system like this. I would definitely say that it's important with systems like these that you don't, because I feel like PoE is suffering from this a bit, but they had like the Atlas system and then they layered on top of it, rather than being able to like take different paths towards the same end or to different ends, they layered on top of it. And as you layer on top of already complex systems with another layer of complexity, those intertwine and can make it overly complex. So, you know, it's good to have a future planning and how to like engage. I hope that they manage to find a way that future-proofs a design like this, at least in the sense that they don't, by adding more, they don't necessarily add more complexity. Because I think it's important to understand how much complexity should we introduce to our player. And there's like a certain level that feels right, and then going above that can be too much. So, interesting system. Definitely, I mean, they're taking from PoE here, from D3. Like, PoE and D3 are like the two obvious ones, you know, with mapping systems versus Rift systems, and kind of coming up with their own idea. And honestly, and it looks like they're taking inspiration from some of the more modern... What are those called again? Those... Oh, fuck! I forgot the name. You see, we're doing this in one take like we always do, but more modern, those kind of like Hades. I said the name earlier. You remember, you know, the games where you kind of like progress through a thing and it's always changing. Roguelite games. I found it. I found the word. Great. Cool. Anyways, I'll probably check out Last Epoch soon-ish. I still have a lot to do in PoE, so I'll go play PoE today, but I just wanted to share Last Epoch, because I thought new endgame system, maybe we can learn something from it. Maybe it's inspiring and maybe we want to play it. And honestly, after reading this, I want to try this and play this. So we'll play this in the near future. Okay, that's the video. And I'll go play PoE. And we are pushing some endgame objectives, Maven in particular. I'm still unsure how we're gonna push Maven in PoE, what my end choice is. I have like a Hoag character that we're playing on, and I might push that through. Or find another one. It might be that I keep searching for builds for a while, and then I commit, and then we go straight to Maven. But yeah, we'll figure that out. Anyways, a bit of a longer video here. Hope you enjoyed it. Let me know if you hate the format. Honestly, I like just going through and sharing my thoughts and not editing too much. Some people might just want it overly edited, but I don't know. I don't know if that's my style. We'll figure it out. Anyways, I'll see you next time. Bye.